Here's why the original Dream Team beats the current Avengers, all right? You're not going to get this anywhere else. This is high-level, detailed analysis.
Just put the sec on the clock. I am reality. I'm going straight to the top.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Mike here, Sports and the Real Podcast, coming at you once again. It's been a couple of weeks, y'all. Been on vacation, traveling and everything with the family. Glad to be back. Hope you guys had a good summer break. School's back for us around here. So my break is over. It's over, ladies and gentlemen, in the words of Kenny Smith. So from here on out, it's football, I guess. Football, basketball. No more traveling for me. That means more episodes, I guess. No, it was a good time off. Hope you guys enjoyed the last episode with Fred Bussey. If you haven't checked that one out yet, go check it out now. It was pretty long, I ain't gonna lie, so you might need to break it up. But we had a good conversation about basketball on there, about USA basketball, about the state of the NBA and Bronny and all that. Couple of clips made some noise around the social media sphere. But no, I appreciate you guys, as always, hanging out with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff with your family. And don't forget to check out the website. We're still growing, still trying to make it better. sportsandthereal.tv. Check out the website, sportsandthereal.tv. Let your friends and family know about it as well. There's more to come on that as we continue to grow this thing out. But let's jump right into it, y'all. Obviously, this is going to be a Olympics heavy episode. Actually, pretty much all Olympics, really. But the Olympics was on. If you've been hiding under a rock and you didn't know that, I feel bad for you. I apologize if you missed out on the last 2 weeks. Starting with opening night, craziness, the drama around that. You know, some people felt insulted by certain things that happened on the opening ceremony. It is what it is, whatever. But the entire Olympics was excellent, man. The coverage was excellent. I can't remember a previous Olympics where the coverage was so great, where everything was so accessible. Shout out to Peacock, NBC, all that stuff, man. They did their thing with that coverage. Like, you go to the Peacock app, like, everything was there. You didn't miss a thing. Like, if you missed something, it's because you didn't really care for it. But they had everything covered. Announcers were on point. And if you were like me, right, who's like a sports junkie, you know, watching, you know, the morning coverage and stuff like that, you're sitting there watching field hockey. Like, I became a field hockey fan. I'm interested in the field hockey finals, the women's field hockey finals. Like, it was crazy. I think it was the Netherlands. Was it the Netherlands versus China or something like that? I don't remember exactly, but I'm sitting there watching women's field hockey. I didn't know field hockey was an actual, like, sport with, like, competitive leagues, but apparently it is. Apparently there's actual field hockey leagues or something. Like, what is going on? And then there's rugby. We know there's rugby leagues, right? In the South Pacific and New Zealand, Australia, and all that stuff. But America has a rugby team, men's and women's. Where they play at? I didn't know this. Listen, and the women's rugby is rough. It is rough. Like, they are legitimate, like, hitting each other and stiff arming and running through each other. My God. Nah, man, the Olympics were just fun. And I always make time to watch the Olympics because I remember as a kid, the Olympics was actually how I learned a lot of the flags and a lot of the geography that I learned was through the Olympics and the World Cup, right? Learning Brazil's flag and Argentina's flag and the Netherlands, like, was watching the World Cup and the Olympics, all these countries on TV, because that's pretty much all I watched on TV was sports. I didn't, I wasn't really into anything else. I'm not really into movies. I think I've said this before in this podcast. I watch movies, right? Good movies I watch, but I'm not really into movies. Like, some people watch movies every movie that comes out, like they can quote it. Like that's not me. I watch TV shows, but I'm not a TV head like that. Like my entertainment has always been sports since I was a kid. So the Olympics coming on, I was always tuned into that. Even though the coverage, obviously back then, you weren't getting everything covered as you do now. But that's how I learned, the flags and geography. Like, oh, this country is, yada yada yada. So I always make time to watch the Olympics, the opening ceremonies to see what's going on there. Tokyo opening ceremony was, legit. The precision, that gets to another point, right? The precision sports. It's interesting, and this is not really what I want to talk about today. I'll get into that in a second. But it's interesting watching the Olympics and like who wins medals in what sports, right? So it turns out that the U.S. and China end up tied in gold medals. And for totally different reasons, like all the athletic stuff, run fast, jump high, whatever it is, right? You could count on the U.S., Africa, Caribbean countries, whatever, right? But when it comes to like precision stuff, like synchronized swimming, diving, gymnastics, like all of these things, right? Like precision stuff, like Asia and particularly China dominated those things. Like men's gymnastics, like Japan, China, like these dudes were on it. And it only leads me to believe that, like in those areas, like they drill those things. Whereas with us, it's athletics. You could run the fastest and jump the highest and dribble a basketball and this and that. And in China, Japan, like they're drilling precision. You got to nail this flip, this backflip. Go straight into the water, no splash. And they have mastered that stuff. So they ended up with 40 gold medals. We ended up with 40 gold medals. We choked a couple gold medals away. Noah Lyles, I ain't going to say nothing. They say he had COVID. Choked the gold medal away. Listen, on the Noah Lyles topic, all right? He essentially became famous, right? Noah Lyles became a household name by insulting the NBA. Yeah, he was a great track athlete, but if truth be told, nobody was really talking about Noah Lyles like that until he insulted the NBA, talking about they're not world champions. When we know the best players around the world come to play in the NBA, the best basketball players around the world come to play in the NBA. So yeah, the NBA champs are going to call themselves world champs. Just like it's called the World Series in baseball. And it's the Super Bowl or world champions. So the stupid comment that he made really is what kind of, he blew up in the United States and a lot of people around the world came to know who he was. And a lot of people, obviously, non-Americans, sided with him because non-Americans already don't like the U.S. Non-Americans are looking for every excuse to down the U.S. So when Noah Lyles comes out and says, yeah, the NBA is not the world champions. The world champions of what? Of course, everyone around the world is going to agree with him who's not American. But if you watch NBA basketball and you know anything about basketball, the best players around the world want to come play in the NBA. So it's okay for the NBA champions, the Boston Celtics and the Denver Nuggets before that, and everybody else before that can say they're the world champions because they're the best basketball team, club basketball team in the world. Period. And they would run through any other club basketball team in the world. Period. So what are we making a big deal about here? It's such a stupid statement, attention grabbing, and then it turns out that dude is just a big hater. If you ain't been keeping up with the news, it turns out that Noah Lyles is just a big hater. He was offended that, according to Time magazine, he was offended that Adidas invited him to a party for Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. Like Ant-Man is 22 years old. He hasn't won nothing. I'm a world champion. I'm a 6-time world champion, whatever he is. Nobody knows who you are, bro. Unfortunately, track doesn't get that much coverage around here, but basketball does. And the average sports fan will know Anthony Edwards before they know Noah Lyles. even with his gold medal in 100 that he just won, which was a fantastic race, by the way. Even with that gold medal, the average fan, the average person in the States is going to know Anthony Edwards before they know Noah Lyles. No offense, but that's just how it is. So, of course, Adidas is going to have a marketing campaign. They're going to have probably a bigger budget for the Ant-Man than they do Noah Lyles. Who's going to buy shoes because of Noah Lyles? But I know when I play basketball, like, ton of dudes are wearing Ant-Man shoes. And I'm going to be honest, I've been wearing Nikes for a long time. Those Ant-Man shoes are the nicest design shoes I've seen in a long time. Nike design's been slacking for years, actually. That's another conversation for another day. Nike's been relying on retro shoes and Jordans and stuff like that, Dunks and like all these retros, Kobe's. Adidas is like moving into the future with their designs, and the Ant-Man is one of the most best designed basketball shoes in a long time. And I've been thinking about breaking my allegiance to Nike. I don't know why it's such a hard decision, because Nike don't pay me to wear their shoes. But that's marketing, y'all. That's how they get you. Anyway, Noah Lyles is a big time hater. And so that comment, right, was coming out of a place of hate. Now that I know the background, that comment was coming from a place of hateration. We're champions of what? And everybody, oh yeah, he's right. No, he's an idiot. Plain and simple. What are you talking about, man? Anyway, that really wasn't supposed to be part of this episode, y'all. But I just had to throw that in there. Sorry. All right, let's jump right into it. Heavy Olympics basketball, really. Anybody who watched the Olympics basketball, right? These games were amazing. Great games throughout. Competitive games. Physical. Nobody's foul baiting. Joel Embiid tried to foul bait at the beginning. The refs weren't having it, and he had to cut it out. You going to play basketball or you going to turn the ball over? You ain't getting those easy calls, those cheap calls like you do in the NBA. And those semifinals, quarterfinals, semifinals, finals games in the Olympics were more interesting than anything the NBA Finals put out this year. 19.5 million viewers average for the Olympics Finals gold medal game. Yikes. And I know the Olympics are going to draw a lot of eyeballs anyway, but when you look at those numbers and you're like, man, why are so many people watching the Olympics basketball but not the NBA Finals? Adam Silver's gotta look in the mirror, bro. The point is, the reason why people want to watch the Olympics basketball is because it's just a better brand of basketball. Despite there being less athleticism and less dunks, and ain't nobody out here 360ing and windmilling and through the leg and back through the leg and hezzies, and besides none of that being part of the FIBA games, people are more interested in watching the FIBA games because it's true basketball. It's true hoop. Foul baiting doesn't get rewarded. Dudes taking 20 steps doesn't get rewarded and taking a step back shot. Bad basketball doesn't get rewarded in FIBA. The refs aren't going to bail you out when you try to run into somebody and throw up a bad shot in FIBA. So the FIBA brand of basketball in the Olympics is better. And Adam Silver has to see that. The defense is allowed. Adam Silver has to see that. Just like during the playoffs, you're watching the playoffs, and the playoffs allowed for physicality. People want to see that. Like if you were on social media watching the NBA playoffs this year, like social media was hype because dudes was like, man, finally these guys get to play actual basketball. The refs ain't blowing the whistle on ticky-tack fouls. Dudes aren't getting rewarded for doing dumb stuff and running into the defender. So I don't know how Adam Silver can watch the Olympics. I don't know how Adam Silver can watch the NBA playoffs and turn around and give us the bad basketball that's to come in October for the NBA regular season. I don't know how that happens. Like, people want to watch physical basketball. People want to watch the defense have a chance to compete. It's more than pick and rolls, spamming pick and rolls and corner threes. FIBA basketball, people actually have to hoop, know how to play, and play smart, and play as a team. Be part of a team. In the NBA, dudes are just running around and pick and roll and into a corner three. FIBA, you got to be multiple, man. It makes for a more exciting game. So I don't know how NBA executive leadership can sit there and watch how people were so thrilled and so interested in watching the basketball games, so interested in watching the playoffs, and turn around and give us bad officiating and bad foul calls and travels and like all this stuff that comes with the NBA. I don't know how you do it. And yeah, I know the NBA is going to continue to make money. The NBA prints money now. The reason is not because the league is so great a product. The NBA prints money now because, honestly, live sports is going to make you money. Like, I could have negotiated a great deal for the NBA. Amazon, NBC, like this huge contract they just signed, I could have done that. There's no negotiation. It's like, look, fellas, we got a product here a lot of people watch, and they have to watch live, or else they're going to miss out on some pretty good action, and they're going to get all the scores updated via apps and everything like that. So they're going to know everything that's going on without watching a game. So we got an audience here that's captive. They're going to watch for a couple hours. Show me the money. Adam Silver ain't got to negotiate. Adam Silver's smart. For all intents and purposes, he's smart. People around him say, come on and say he's a smart guy. But he ain't the reason why the league is blowing up. The league is making a lot of money because ain't no competitors. Advertisers need you to watch their ads. And if you skipping their ads, if you got the ad-free subscription on Amazon or the ad-free subscription on Hulu, them jokers ain't making money like that, fam. So they need football, they need basketball and baseball. So it's easier to sign a fatter contract because they have no other option. But the NBA right now, the product is not as great as FIBA style basketball. And the Olympics prove that people, my generation especially and older, we enjoy this type of basketball. That's why the NBA has to, the in-season tournament, and now they're talking about, thinking about some tournament where American teams play European squads. It's like, these are all gimmicks, man, to draw eyeballs. When really, if you just had competitive basketball games and dudes playing smart team basketball, like, people would be hyped for the NBA, man. You wouldn't have to do stupid in-season tournaments and gimmicks like that, bro. Because people love basketball. People want to watch good basketball. Even over an 82-game season, people want to watch good basketball. You got the best athletes right now in this generation. These dudes are no doubt athletic. But you bail them out by allowing them to play bad, dumb basketball. So what is Adam Silver going to do? Is he going to sit back? Adam Silver going to sit back and watch more bad regular seasons? Or is he going to allow these dudes to play real basketball? Allow some defense. Like I said last year at the beginning of the season, defense, dudes get under your skin when they're playing defense. And that hypes up the intensity as we saw there in the playoffs. So you would have intense basketball for an entire season instead of waiting till the playoffs. Adam Silver, listen, everybody makes mistakes, right? Adam Silver's thing is, we're going to try to get as many eyeballs on this thing as possible. And the way he thinks they can get eyeballs is by making the game softer, run and gun, more high scoring, free flowing. I think he went too far, right? We don't need to be Detroit Pistons 69-70, type of final scores. But he went too far the other way. And as a result, he's turned a lot of people off, just like a lot of people would have been turned off on the opposite side. There's a happy medium there, man. Allow dudes to play defense and, call the fouls that are there, and you would have some great basketball, man. There's obviously other things that FIBA benefits from, the smaller court and all this stuff. But man, that was some excellent basketball. Excellent basketball. If you missed that, all the way around. France, Germany, like some big time basketball players out there, man. All right, moving on. After he got eliminated with Germany, Dennis Schroeder ruffled some feathers and upset some people by saying the NBA is low IQ basketball. Listen to this.
European basketball is no entertainment. It's straight IQ basketball, straight coaching, and really, really high IQ guys who know how to play the game.
Listen, old heads, people like me, right? People like me, we're called old heads. We're called haters. But people like me been saying the same thing Dennis Schroeder just said. We've been saying that for a long time. But because we don't play in the NBA, we've never been in the NBA. We're always told, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a hater. You're an old head. No. Now you have somebody who's currently in the NBA telling you what the NBA is about. It's telling you that the NBA is low IQ and that the NBA is more entertainment than basketball compared to FIBA. The NBA is, you can score at will in the NBA because the refs won't let nobody touch you. So what Dennis Schroeder is saying is something I and other, who have never touched an NBA floor have been saying for a while because we have eyes. And we watch previous generations struggle to get buckets. Meanwhile, everybody in the NBA now gets an average 20, it seems like. 25, easy. And when Luka comes over and says it's easier to score in the NBA, people are like, well, it's Luka. No, everybody is scoring in the NBA because Dennis Schroeder is right. The NBA is low IQ and is meant for entertainment. So you spam pick and rolls into a corner three all day. And you don't have to know how to create a great shot because all you got to do is run into somebody and they'll call a foul. Joel Embiid had to adjust his game in FIBA because the refs weren't giving him those calls like that. Ask yourself, how many times you watch the FIBA game in the Olympics? How many games you watch in the Olympics where somebody took 10, 15 dribbles into a step back? You didn't see that. That's dumb basketball. But in the NBA, you can get away with that. How many times you saw somebody run into somebody and get a foul call? That didn't happen. How many pick and rolls into lobs did you see in FIBA in the Olympics? Didn't happen. So as you watch the Olympics, you didn't see any of the things that you see regularly on the NBA in the NBA telecast that makes the game pretty boring. You didn't see people, head faking and side swiping into fouls. You didn't see 30 dribble step backs. I mean, you literally saw just excellent, smart, high IQ basketball. So Dennis Schroeder was right. He's right. The NBA right now is entertainment, and it allows for low IQ basketball. Not everyone in the NBA is low IQ, clearly. Clearly, the dudes on the Olympic team, the Avengers, were some of the highest IQ cats in the league. Bron is one of the highest IQ cats ever. KD is high IQ. Steph is high IQ. Drew Holiday, like all these guys, Derek White are high IQ basketball players. But you can't get offended when Schroeder says it's a low IQ entertainment league because he's right. Dudes get to be bad and still get 25 points. Dudes get to take bad shots and score 25, 30 points because they're bailed out into free throws. But you realize that the best players on the team this year were the old heads who don't need bailing out. Bron don't need bailing out. KD don't need bailing out. Steph don't need bailing out because they're smart dudes who just play basketball. They know how to hoop. Like you're watching the Olympic Games, like KD head fake somebody. He's trying to go around them, get to the hole, but he really can't because the guy is riding KD the whole time. The guy is on KD's shoulder the whole time. In the NBA, if KD head fakes you, he's going to the cup. He's either dunking the ball or he's getting free throws. In the Olympics, he can't do that because a guy gets to ride him. He gets a hand check. Man, I'm telling you, youngsters don't understand like the impact of being able to play physical with somebody. So when everybody in the league is averaging 25 and 30 points, you're like, oh man, all these guys are great basketball players. They would annihilate previous generations. No, previous generations will be able to hold on to them. So Serbia is able to stay in a game with the U.S. because not only they have the Joker, and there was no matchup for the Joker, and Bogdanovic was going crazy, but also they're able to play defense and play physical. And the court is smaller, but they're able to play defense. They're allowed, the three and the key defensive rule ain't there. The NBA is geared towards high-octane offense and entertainment, and yes, it breeds low IQ basketball. Because you could take some bad shots, you could do some bad things, you could run into somebody, and the NBA will reward you for that. If you don't believe me, watch the Charlotte Hornets. Go watch Charlotte Hornets basketball the last 5 years or so. Go watch Charlotte Hornets basketball for the last 5 years or so if you don't believe me that the NBA is low IQ. They are the poster child of low IQ basketball. And it's been coming for a while. This ain't brand new, right? I'm not even going to blame these current youngsters. Like the NBA has been heading that way for a while. So he's right. Schroeder's right. It is what it is. So we can accept it and get better with our youth development and the NBA doing what's right by changing the rules and making it so that you have to play with high IQ. You can't just rely on your athleticism, or it's going to stay that way. No, seriously, go back and watch the games if you can. How many times you saw teams just go pick and roll, high pick and roll into a three, high pick and roll into a lob? NBA, that's all you see. So it's a bland basketball. Nobody wants to watch bland basketball. Same thing every time. You can predict the play. You can predict what's going to happen. So he's right. He's right. Tough pill to swallow, but he's right. All right. That leads me to another point. Next topic. And this is something I've been talking about forever and ever on this podcast. So when you watch the Olympics, you realize why the Euros are getting better and better and taking over the NBA. Fundamentally sound, smart basketball. Not just the Euro, just, every other country outside of the U.S. By the way, South Sudan, if I can interject here, South Sudan, man, props to South Sudan. Props to Luol Deng. He's building a program. South Sudan plays like Luol Deng played. South Sudan plays smart basketball. They play tough basketball, gritty. Like they ain't backing down. Like give these boys a couple years, man. They're long, athletic, tall. Give South Sudan a couple years. Watch out, world. Luol Deng, props to you, man, for putting up your own money. Like these boys, it was said multiple times during the Olympics, they don't have a single indoor basketball court in South Sudan. Like, hopefully they get a ton of donations now to help build multiple basketball courts. Like, they are coming. Watch out. South Sudan is going to be a threat because they have the foundation. The coaching is excellent. Luol Deng, like you could see like his IQ. He was one of the most high IQ basketball players in the NBA when he played. Like tall, long, athletic, and play smart basketball. These guys are coming. So y'all watch out, man. Y'all watch out. But going back to my point, why these guys outside the United States are taking over is their fundamentals are great. They play high IQ basketball. They're just basketball players. And here's what I noticed, y'all. Here's what I noticed. It took the USA The 3 best players on the USA basketball team are 3 generational talents. I know the word generational gets thrown out a lot, but the best players in the NBA were 3 generational talents. Bron, KD, Steph. Bron is generational all time. KD, generational all time. Steph, generational all time. When you think about the current NBA, who we would call generational and all-time talent, Giannis, the Joker, Luka, those guys are next up generational guys. So it seems to me that the world is producing generational type players, and the NBA is just copying and pasting athletic wings and guards. That's just my observation, right? We don't produce any more big men with back to the basket game. All of our guys, big guys, are just alley-oop catchers nowadays. So we just have athletic wings and athletic guards, scoring guards. The world is producing the generational talents, the generational athletes. So Bron, KD, and Steph are the last of the generational players that we have in the U.S. That was my observation, at least one of my observations from the Olympics, is that where's the next batch of generational cats coming from? There's still really good basketball players coming from America. I'm not saying that. But the generational talents, they're coming from outside the states, man. Wow. Wow. And that, my friends, is why I said previously, I don't know if I can guarantee a gold medal for the U.S. once Bron, Steph, and KD are no longer there. Because those guys carry the day. And I don't know, for those who are like, well, the U.S., has a ton of talent. We do. We have a ton of talent, a ton of guys who can hoop. But be honest with yourselves. On this team against Serbia, if you took out Steph, Bron, and KD, and even Joel Embiid, because we're lucky. Shout out to Joel Embiid for choosing to play for the U.S. Shout out to Embiid for choosing to play for the U.S. instead of France. Because if Joel Embiid didn't play for the U.S., we're getting kicked out by Serbia. And nobody wants to talk about that. Steph had a great game. KD made some tough shots. But if it wasn't for Joel Embiid, the U.S. ain't playing for the gold medal, bro. Because Serbia certainly takes them out. And if they do get past Serbia, Joel Embiid and Wemby playing for France, ouch. We are done. U.S. is done. So the U.S. has no big man. So shout out to Joel Embiid for actually kind of making some tough, clutch shots against Serbia. So the U.S. doesn't win without Joel Embiid, who's really like the only American big man that we have. Because if he didn't play, I don't know what happens against Serbia. Because we have no threat, no one to keep the big joker occupied. AD ain't really a threat like that against the joker. And on defense, he's food. So Bron would have had to guard Joker the whole game. And if Embiid is playing for France and the U.S. just happens to get by Serbia, the U.S. is done. We are done. We would have no answer because we have no height. Save that thought for a later time in this episode. We have no height. So it took Bron, KD, and Steph, generational talents, to actually win the Olympics. For all the people who say, well, the U.S. is full of talent, we are full of talent. But we're not full of that kind of talent when the world is catching up to play FIBA ball. Great NBA talent, FIBA ball talent is different. Because those guys are used to playing without getting all the foul calls. And Bron and KD especially have no problem playing in a box, playing on a small court, playing with physicality. KD has no problem head faking and pulling up for a mid-range. He ain't trying to bail out with unlimited head fakes hoping for a foul call. So the generational players are coming from overseas, while the U.S. is just copying and pasting the same guys. Athletic wings, scoring guards. Think about it. Think of all the best players in the NBA. What separates them? Is there any difference between them? Any difference between them? So who are you subbing out? Who are you bringing in? If you take out Bron, Steph, and KD, who are you bringing in right now to say these three guys, we would have beaten Serbia? You don't have it. You ain't got it, bro. So yeah, I'm gonna keep saying it. People on social media keep telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's keep going. One of the other conversations that came out of this thing is LeBron, the GOAT case for LeBron after these Olympics. Can people stop? Listen, man, LeBron had a great Olympics, but the U.S. was favored to blow everybody out. And it's crazy that they did not blow everybody out. But LeBron getting MVP is like, come on, man. Let's stop. Let's stop it, all right? If you want to make the GOAT case for LeBron, make the GOAT case for LeBron. This Olympics ain't the reason why LeBron gets a GOAT, like gets more GOAT case in his favor, like gets more points. Come on, man. Literally played on a stacked team, truly kind of underperformed, but benefit of the doubt, the rest of the world is catching up. Whatever. I'm not going to be a hater in this instance, all right? They won. And I was rooting for them to win, unlike some people who wanted them to lose. But Bron doesn't get more extra credit points because he won an Olympics, all right? Because he won a gold medal playing alongside Steph and KD. Are you kidding? Are you serious? He didn't even have to do nothing like that. He made some clutch buckets, yes. He showed leadership, yes. But it's not like he was dragging like some freaking Hoosiers or some garbage team to win an Olympic gold medal. He just played basketball. And he played great. And Steph played excellent. We don't win without Steph going crazy the last two games. We don't win without Joel Embiid showing up big against Serbia. And on and on and on. So don't give me the LeBron GOAT case because he won a gold medal thing. Like, if you want to make that argument about his NBA career, fine. I don't think he is, but you can make that argument. Adding the Olympics to the resume makes no sense at all. Not one bit. So I'm going to leave that there and move on to probably my favorite point I want to make today, y'all. A lot of people, NBA players, Draymond Green, a lot of pundits on TV came out and said, hey, this team is better than the original Dream Team. This American USA basketball team is better than the Dream Team. Everyone who has come out and says this team is better than the original Dream Team, they make generic statements. They can't tell you why. No one has ever told you why this team is better than the Dream Team. They can't tell you exactly why. What makes this team better than the original Dream Team? So listen to your boy. Here's why the original Dream Team beats this current team pretty easily, in my opinion. You want to know why? Y'all know why Serbia was able to almost win against the USA team in the semifinals game? Y'all know why Serbia was in the game the whole time and leading? Physical basketball. They were allowed to play defense. Smart basketball. And they had a big man that the U.S. had no answers for. Nobody thought of that. That, like I said earlier, the U.S. has no big man. So Serbia is out there running out the Joker pretty much by himself as a lone big man. But the USA can't handle him. So if the USA can't handle the Joker and some other randoms, you're trying to tell me that the Avengers can handle David Robinson and Patrick Ewing and Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley and Karl Malone and Chris Mullin and all of these guys? You're trying to tell me right now that Serbia has a bunch of guys on their squad who, if you drop them into the 91-92 NBA season, these guys will be NBA MVPs? You trying to tell me that? You trying to tell me Serbia that almost beat this Avengers team has dudes right now who are better than prime, all these prime players? Like everybody, or just about everybody on the original Dream Team was in their prime. Everybody of importance outside of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson was in their prime. We're not counting Christian Laettner. So all these dudes in their prime, in the NBA, athletic prime, in the NBA, you're trying to tell me this current version of the Avengers was better than that team. Wrong. So here's why the NBA Dream Team, the original Dream Team, here's why the original Dream Team beats the current Avengers, all right? You're not going to get this anywhere else. This is high-level, detailed analysis, all right? High-level breakdown. Here's why. The original Dream Team was too big and too versatile, all right? They were too big and too versatile. And they were used to playing in a box, meaning these current NBA players, outside of, like I said, outside of Bron and KD, really, these guys are used to playing on a spread out floor, getting all the whistles, you can't hand check, all this and that, right? The Dream Team was used to that. They're used to fighting in a small space. So a smaller FIBA court, that mean nothing to them. Patrick Ewing is used to being in the box. David Robinson is used to being in the box. Charles Barkley, all these guys are used to playing in a small square because that's what the NBA was back in the day. They were used to playing in a small square with physicality. So it wouldn't bother them that there was no fouls being called. It wouldn't bother them that there was hand checking because they're used to that. So while the current Avengers has to adjust to hand checking and Joel Embiid has to adjust to the fact that head faking and diving into somebody's not gonna get you a call, the Dream Team was used to that. They're used to playing in a small court, in a small space, and congestion. They have no problem with that. So they're much taller. They're used to playing in the box. And like I said, everyone was in their athletic prime. Whereas the current Avengers, three of the most important cats are outside of their prime athletically. So while they're still great, you can't tell me these guys are keeping up with these other dudes in their prime. Like being more skilled, and this is what the current generation confuses, and some pundits on TV confuses. They think, well, because this guy, he can handle better, he's a better basketball player. They assume because, you can hezzy and cross over through the leg, back through the leg, and all these things, like you're a better basketball player. So you got people going on TV saying Anthony Davis is a better player than Patrick Ewing and David Robinson. Like, what? What? Are you serious? If you're watching somebody, if you're listening to somebody and they say Anthony Davis is a better basketball player than Patrick Ewing, Anthony Davis is a better basketball player than David Robinson, you got to cut them out. These people don't know what they're talking about. Again, he may have better skills, meaning Anthony Davis can handle the ball better than those guys. But when it comes to actual basketball, David Robinson and Patrick Ewing are putting these guys through the rim. They're bigger and stronger. David Robinson is 7'1", man. David Robinson is taller than Bam. David Robinson is Bam Adebayo with actual offensive game. The dude was a league MVP. The year of the Dream Team, David Robinson was coming off of a 23-12 and 23.12 rebound season with 4.5 blocks. Dude was third in MVP voting. First team All-NBA and defense. Defensive player of the year. That David Robinson. There's no answers to David Robinson on the current Avengers, man. Patrick Ewing, who has become so underrated, dude. Like, people forget Pat. People forget how good Patrick Ewing was, man. In his prime. Patrick Ewing coming off a season at 7 foot, 240 pounds. Patrick Ewing is coming off a season where he averaged 24 points, 11 boards. The current Avengers don't have the size for that outside of Embiid. So Joel Embiid will have to play the whole game to keep up with either David Robinson or Patrick Ewing. And we know he's not in the greatest of shape. Soon as Joel Embiid subs out, it is food underneath. These guys are literally dunking the ball, layups every time. Patrick Ewing and David Robinson. Patrick Ewing that year coming off 5th in MVP voting. Second team all defense, second team all NBA. These guys were in their primes. Karl Malone is freaking 6'9", 250 averaging, coming off of averaging 28 and 11 in his prime. There's nobody down low who's guarding Karl Malone right now. Charles Barkley is unguardable. Charles Barkley is like, the following season, Charles Barkley goes for the MVP, bro, and takes his team to the finals. Come on, man. Like, that is such a big man advantage that literally this team is shooting all layups and dunks. Joel Embiid is in the game. He's a problem for sure for anybody. But Joel Embiid can only guard one guy. And if he gets in foul trouble, or if he gets tired, which he tends to do, you have no shot. So people who don't know basketball are going to tell you that Anthony Davis is a better basketball player than Patrick Ewing, when really Patrick Ewing is so much bigger than Anthony Davis, he would literally put him into the rim. David Robinson is Bam Adebayo with offensive game. Tall, athletic, can run, jump, guard anybody, like, except for Hakeem. But that's David Robinson, future MVP of the league. That's David Robinson. Scottie Pippen is in his athletic prime, maybe the best perimeter defender the league has ever seen. Coming off of a 21-7-7 season, all defense. People forget about Chris Mullin, probably one of the most underrated dudes, not really talked about dudes on the Dream Team. Chris Mullin came off a season, he was averaging 25.6 points a game. One of the best shooters all time, 37% from three. Are you kidding? First team All-NBA. Chris Mullin would hand out buckets today. If you can't hand check Chris Mullin today, he's killing dudes. Not because he has crazy handle and all these things, but like Jalen Brunson, he's stronger than he looks, and he knows he's crafty. He knows how to get buckets. Chris Mullin is handing out buckets today. 6'6", 6'7" lefty dude. Killing dudes today. But nobody talks about Chris Mullin. Like, these are advantages that, like, I don't think people account for. These dudes are in their athletic prime. The best players on the Dream Team are all in their athletic prime. People say, well, Magic played, and Magic was out of the league. Magic was out of the league 1 year. The previous year that Magic played, this dude was second in MVP voting in 1991, averaging 19, 7, and 12 assists. Magic Johnson. Yeah, he didn't play that full year, the previous year, but dude wasn't a scrub. Larry Bird was probably the one that was really shot, but he was still coming off a season averaging 29 and 7. You ain't leaving him open, are you? Clyde Drexler had just led his team to the NBA Finals. There is not anybody on the Serbian team right now you would drop into the 91-92 season who would look as good as David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Scottie Pippen, Chris Mullin, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, John Stockton. Not a single one. Yeah, Bogdanovich was going crazy. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that there's somebody on a Serbian team is hiding outside of the Joker. The Serbian team is hiding some guy you could have dropped in 91, 92 who looked like a Hall of Famer, who was a first ballot Hall of Famer. You ain't. So that team is the most stacked. The current team, the current iteration of the USA basketball team doesn't have an answer for the size of the dream team. And that makes all the difference in the world. You can say whatever you want to say about skill, about guys being athletic. By the way, the dream team was as athletic as they came. Clyde Drexler was hella athletic. So was Charles Barkley. David Robinson. Scottie Pippen was the most athletic dudes the NBA's ever seen. Ripped up, strong as hell, long arms. But they're just the original dream team is just too big and physical, and they're literally getting layups and dunks in the paint. Remember, the FIBA court is smaller, and those hand check rules are there. So they are pummeling these guys in the paint. Yeah, you're going to say, well, LeBron can guard a big. Okay, so if LeBron is guarding a big, these wings are going off. They're just too physical for the current players right now, man. They played a different style. So if you're sitting there struggling with Serbia and you're sitting there struggling with France, there is nobody on the current Serbian team. There's nobody currently on the French team who you could say, if I drop this guy in 91, 92, he's like top 5 in MVP. He's averaging 25 a game in the NBA. Not a single one outside of the Joker. So you're going to tell me that the dream team wouldn't handle these guys? And I ain't even bring up the black cat yet. I didn't even bring up God himself. I didn't even bring up Michael Jeffrey Jordan yet. So this team is pummeling you in the paint. David Robinson is pummeling you in the paint. Like, Bam has no chance against David Robinson. He's too small. Bam is too small for Patrick Ewing. Anthony Davis is too small for Patrick Ewing. On the other end, Anthony Davis may step out, shoot some jumpers, but the court's too small. And with the physicality allowed, the defense that these guys played, are you kidding? David Robinson today is an MVP candidate, all right? He's killing dudes on defense and offense. People forget how athletic this dude was. Ripped up, jacked up, fast, like a 7'1" gazelle. People underestimate these guys. That's the thing. People underestimate these guys because they never won a championship. Well, at least David won when Tim got there. But people underestimate Patrick Ewing because he kept running into Michael Jordan and he never won. So Michael Jordan kind of stained a lot of people's legacies because he kept winning and guys couldn't beat him. So people think, well, you didn't win the championship, so you're not that good. Patrick Ewing was like that. The boy was a monster, man. So he is killing these dudes. Except for Joel Embiid, he is killing every other so-called big the current Avengers have. And Joel Embiid gets in foul trouble, and Joel Embiid gets hyperventilated, and he's out of breath. It's a wrap. In the NBA and basketball, specifically when it's real basketball, size matters. In the modern NBA, you can play 5 out, you can play small ball, analytics ball. In FIBA ball, you need actual big men. In previous generations of the NBA, you need actual big men who could control the paint. Or else you are just going to die with dudes dunking and laying it up on you. And all of your bigs are fouling out. There is not a single Serbian or a single French player who's as good as those guys. Yes, LeBron is still great. Yes, KD is still great, and they would cause problems for sure. And Steph would cause anybody problems. But I'm sure if you put Scottie Pippen on Steph, he ain't going crazy like that. That's just me. Of course, it's hypothetical. Steph is my guy, but he ain't giving Scottie Pippen 40 points like that, 30 points. He ain't going crazy on Scottie. So that's the advantage. Like nobody, you're not listening to people who's telling you why the current American team is beating the original Dream Team. And I'm telling you why right now. The height mismatch, the size mismatch is too much to handle. So Robinson's too big, Ewing's too big. Malone is too big for anyone except for Joel Embiid. Charles Barkley is literally unguardable by anybody on his team. Too crafty, too strong, too fast, one way or another. This ain't prime Bron now. Don't forget, this ain't prime LeBron. This is prime Barkley and Michael Jordan. And not only were these guys great players, like the current guys on the roster, they're good players. Some are great, but they're great players, right? So the current roster has great players, but not only are these guys great players, the original Dream Team were great players, but they were all great leaders. Like all of these guys were leading their teams to deep playoff runs. Like Clyde Drexler had just come off a championship run with the Blazers. Barkley was about to go into a championship run. Like Ewing was always in the mix. His team just couldn't overcome Mike. David Robinson led his teams to playoff runs. We know about Malone and Stockton. Like, these guys were legit basketball players all around. They weren't just great scorers. Like, they were basketball players, great leaders. Like, they were the absolute best in the league at the time. So, yes, they're beating the current Avengers, as good as they are. So, unless you're going to sit there and tell me that Serbia and France has some guys right now you could take off the roster and drop them in the 91-92 season and these guys were top 5 MVP candidates, which they don't, the original Dream Team still has the best roster ever, man. Everybody except for Magic, Leitner, and Bird really are in their athletic primes. I didn't even talk about Stockton, who would pick them apart in pick and rolls. And these guys just know how to play basketball. They're used to playing on a small court, and they're used to the physicality. So that's the advantage. Simple. And I didn't even talk about who is guarding Michael Jordan. Who is doing anything with I didn't even bring up the Black Cat. I'm telling everybody, yeah, I'm giving you why they would beat them, because they're bigger and stronger. But then you're left with Michael Jordan in his athletic prime. This is not fadeaway Michael Jordan. This is the guy, the logo, who should be the logo. This is the guy who's levitating and floating in the air for 3 seconds, man. Athletic prime Michael Jordan, the best basketball player the game has ever seen. That guy is on that roster. So you're telling me everybody is in their athletic prime except for Bird and Magic, and you add Michael Jordan, who is the most unstoppable force the NBA has ever seen. You're trying to tell me there's a team that beats that Dream Team. Not a chance. No, they're not going to make teams currently. The Dream Team, original Dream Team, is not going to make the current European teams, the current Olympic teams, look like Angola in 92. They're not doing that. These teams are better. They're not beating anybody by 60, 50 points, but they're still beating them pretty good, because these guys are all in their athletic prime. These guys have seen everything. They've seen all the physicality. They're used to it. They're not adjusting to FIBA physicality. This is what we're used to. We didn't get ticky-tack foul calls. Like, we hoop however you want it, inside, outside, whatever you want. Interesting conversation, though. I love it. I love basketball, man. Talk about this stuff all day. But yeah, now good games, man. Shout out to the Dream Team. Shout out to all the Olympic winners, man. Simone Biles is freaking GOAT status. I'm watching Katie Ledecky. If you watch Katie Ledecky swimming, man, it's like that 1500 or whatever it is, man. It's like she looks like she's going the wrong way. You're wondering, like, is she in the lead, or are these cats just, everybody's slow? But you're like, oh, yeah, everybody's just too slow. The GOAT woman swimmer, man. Oh, man. Competition. Wow. I live for this stuff. But I'm going to leave it here, y'all. Appreciate y'all watching, hanging out, listening. Again, don't forget to subscribe and like and share. Check out the website, sportsonthereal.tv. Football season's about to start. NFL's coming. College football's coming. Exciting times ahead. Summer's over. Let's get back into it. But I'm going to catch y'all next time. Y'all be good. Mike, sports and the real shit. Peace.
I'm going straight to the top. Just put the stack on the clock. I am Ray Allen's a shot. I'm going straight to the top.